All right, so we have spent a good amount of time now talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. And so, like I said, today we're going to take a look at some of the algebra that is behind these things. And we're going to come up with two things about the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines, which some of you, if not most of you, might be familiar with already. So hopefully this will be both easy and fun. So on the board right there I have two parallel lines. What is the slope of this top line right there?
1 over 2.
1 over 2. If I pick a couple of good points on there, to get from this one to that one I have to go up 1 and over 2. What is the slope of this parallel line below it? Up 1 and over 2. So that one is also 1 over 2. Okay? So what might you conclude would be true about the slopes of parallel lines? They are equal. And so that is our first discovery, which is that the slopes of parallel lines are equal. Okay? And hopefully that makes sense to you a little bit conceptually. The whole reason why they are parallel is because they go up and over the same amount each time. And that's why they'll never cross. Because when one of them goes up 1, the other one goes up 1, and then the one goes over 2, and the other one goes over 2, and they're right back sort of the same distance away as they were before. Okay? So that is our first exciting discovery. The second exciting discovery that we're going to take a look at is now I am going to draw in here a line that is perpendicular to my original line. What is the slope of that line that I just drew? 2 over 1? Okay, down 2, to go from here to here, I would go down 2, so I'm going to say negative 2, and then over 1. So my first line has a slope of 1/2. My second line has a slope of negative 2 over 1. What's the relationship between those two numbers? They are opposite and they are reciprocals. And a lot of people remember the reciprocal part. If you have 1 over 2, you need to flip it over and make it 2 over 1. But don't forget that if two lines are perpendicular, if one of them is going up, then the other one has to be going down. So if one has a positive slope, the other one must have a negative slope. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the slopes of parallel lines are equal. The slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. All right? So there are our two facts for today. Parallel lines, same slopes. Perpendicular lines, opposite reciprocals. So the reason why this is nice is because now we can figure out some math with these things without having to, like I said, do constructions or look at the graph or anything like that. So what we should be able to do now is take a look at a couple of points. For example, if I gave you point A at negative 15, negative 6, and point B at 6, 8, what you should be able to do now, without graphing, is tell me if I drew a line through points A and B, and then if I drew a line through points C and D, would those two lines be parallel? would they be perpendicular to each other, or perhaps they would just randomly cross, there'd be nothing special about them at all. So how can I figure that out without graphing them? I have to figure out their slopes, yes. And what is the slope formula that we use? I'm kind of hearing it over here somewhere. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Good. Yeah, then you can use that to come up with an equation for the line, but we don't need to take it that far because it's just geometry. So we're only concerned with their slopes at this point. Okay, so if my 2 points are A and B, what is y2? In other words, what's the y coordinate of the second point? What is the y coordinate of the second point? 8. Here's my second point. It's x and y, so the y coordinate is 8. Minus, what is the y coordinate of the first point? Negative 6. And I want to take that, yes, so that's going to turn into really 8 plus 6, which is good, 14. Okay? Now let's do x2 minus x1. What is the x coordinate of the second point? 6. Minus the x coordinate of the first point is negative 15. So once again, those two negatives turn into positive. So you have 6 plus 15, which is 21. And what is 14 over 21 reduced to?
2/3.
2/3. Good, because 7 goes into both of them evenly. So the slope of line AB would be 2/3. Okay? All right, let's do that same thing now to figure out the slope of line CD. What do I do first? y2 minus y1. So in this case, that would be 10 minus negative 2, which is really 10 plus 2, which is 12. Okay, so that was y2 minus y1. Then I do, good, negative 4 minus 4. So negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. So what is 12 divided by negative 8 reduced to? Negative 3 over 2, because 4 goes into both of those evenly. So what's true about these two lines? True. That is true. They are perpendicular to each other because the slopes are the same but flipped over 2/3 and 3/2. And one of them is positive and one of them is negative. So those two lines would be perpendicular to each other. Okay? Make sense? I know there's a lot of numbers running around, but it all works out in here. Nope, that's not it. That was the one from Friday. There we go. Okay, there's your assignment. If you would take your compasses and put them back.